Question number 5, Grant Robertson.
Thank you, Mr Speaker. My question is to the Minister of Revenue. Does he agree with the New Zealand Law Society that, quote, "this bright line test is a bad idea and shouldn't be enacted in our view as it will be ineffective in meeting the stated policy objective," close quotes?
The Honourable Paul Goldsmith.
On behalf of the Minister of Revenue, no.
Supplementary question, Mr
Supplementary
Speaker.
question, Grant Robertson.
Why was Mr Tomlinson from the Law Society wrong when he described the bright line test legislation as, quote, "incoherent," end quote, and that rather than capture speculators, it will capture those who are forced to sell their properties within 2 years, including those who are involved in mortgagee sales?
The Honourable Paul Goldsmith.
On behalf of the Minister, well, the bright line test exempts the sale of the person's main home, and it also exempts inherited properties and properties transferred under the property relationship settlement, and we believe that's an appropriate arrangement.
Point of order, Mr Speaker.
Point of order.
I don't believe that did address the question that I asked.
No, I think in this case it definitely does. The question was, why was effectively this Mr Tomlinson wrong? That gave a very wide ambit to the Minister to respond.
Nothing to do with what I asked. Supplementary question.
Supplementary question, Grant Robertson.
How about you answer, Jerry? How about that? That'd be
Order.
fun.
Order. Grant Robertson, supplementary question.
Why was Peter Vile, New Zealand leader at Chartered Accountants Australia New Zealand, also wrong when he described the bright line test legislation as not sound tax policy, arbitrary, unfair and blunt?
The Honourable Paul Goldsmith.
On behalf of the Minister, I'm sure there are wide varieties of views on all tax legislation brought before the House, and that's his opinion. But the point I would make, Mr Speaker, is that the member has a habit of complaining endlessly about a problem, in this case housing affordability, and also complains endlessly about any efforts to do anything about the problem. And this government is concerned about getting on with the problem.
Supplementary, Mr Speaker. You are concerned about getting on with the problem.
Supplementary question, the Honourable Jerry Brownlee.
Does the Minister consider it strange that a party that is proposing capital gains tax is now mounting an attack against capital gains tax on behalf of those who don't like capital gains tax?
Order. There is no ministerial responsibility
Supplementary question
whatsoever.
Supplementary question,
Order.
Mr Speaker.
Order. I haven't called the member yet. Order. Supplementary question, Grant Robertson.
Why was David Snell, Executive Director, Government Administration, Ernst & Young, wrong when he said the bright line test legislation was unclear, overly complex, and that as someone who does tax accounting for a living, he found himself professionally confused by the government's approach?
The Honourable Paul Goldsmith.
On behalf of the Minister, I cannot explain why that particular gentleman is professionally confused, but I would say that the bright line test will catch property speculators who buy and sell property quickly. That is the object, and will help ensure that property speculators pay their fair share of tax. And I'm surprised that this party is not supporting that.
Supplementary question, Mr Speaker.
Supplementary question, Grant Robertson.
In light of that answer, is it correct that Treasury advised ministers that a short bright line test of less than 5 years would be easily planned around and would not work, and that there should not be retrospective legislation, both of which pieces of advice the government ignored?
The Honourable Paul Goldsmith.
Mr Speaker, the point I would make in relation to that is that property speculators should already be caught under the current tax rules for land sales, and the bright line test only primarily serves to make sure that there's no uncertainty as to what the intention is of the property developer.
Point of order, Mr Speaker.
Point of order.
My question asked if it was...
I'm going to allow the member to repeat that question.
Thank you, Mr Speaker. Is it correct that Treasury...
Order. I hope the member's not at all questioning a decision I've just made.
Well,
that'd be
Mr.
very
Speaker,
serious.
Well, I don't mean to challenge you in any way at all.
Well, then I'd advise the member to resume his seat.
Well, and all I would say is that
Order.
Mr Robertson always says his question is not answered properly. The Minister, in that occasion, did point out to him
I think the
it was an opinion.
on dangerous ground. Order. No, I don't need any assistance.
I'm not. I'm going to ask.
Order. Grant Robertson has twice in this session question whether it had been asked, his question had been addressed. I ruled on the first occasion it was. On the second occasion, I listened very carefully to the answer. I acknowledge I might have missed something. I don't believe it was addressed. That's the end of the matter. I'm allowing the member to ask the question again. Robertson, supplementary question.
Is it correct that Treasury advised ministers that a short bright line test of less than 5 years would be easily planned around and would not work, and that there should not be retrospective legislation, both of which pieces of advice the government ignored?
The Honourable Paul Goldsmith.
On behalf of the Minister, I don't have that information in front of me.
Question, Mr. Speaker.
Supplementary question, Grant Robertson.
Isn't it the truth that rather than Treasury, the Law Society, the Chartered Accountants of Australia and New Zealand, Ernst & Young, KPMG and Chapman Tripp all being wrong, that the Bright Line test is in fact deeply flawed because it was a rushed, last-minute political response to a very real problem of housing speculation that the government has totally failed to address?
The Honourable Paul Goldsmith.
No, I don't agree with that assessment of the situation at all. This is what the Bright Line test is about. This government rapidly addressing a very important issue that is of great importance to particularly Aucklanders who are concerned about housing speculation. And I'm surprised that that party is not supporting us in this effort.
Question number 6, Dr. Parmjeet Palmer.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker.